Hey, welcome back. Today, Darren here. I'm going to cover a very requested fan question for anyone who's followed the project. If you haven't, way back in August of 2016, one of our very first videos, Sean and I went to a junkyard and we used a wheelbarrow to remove a Fiat Spider engine. That's a twin cam 1800cc engine. Sean was really excited about that engine because it would give us a way to directly bolt in a higher horsepower, higher output engine than what was already in Ivan 2104, which is at the time a fledgling project. We were just getting going with it and looking for kind of cheap speed. So we went through all the effort of pulling this engine out and trucking it off. Well, why isn't it in Ivan? Where'd it go? What happened to it? You guys have asked periodically every couple of weeks, every month or so. There's always someone, a viewer question that asks, hey, what's going on with the Fiat Twin Cam engine? And honestly, we've been a little cagey about it. Well, here I've got some lost footage that we filmed mere days after we pulled that engine out, and it kind of got misplaced and it's kind of crappy. Well, I'll just show it to you and then we'll touch base and talk about what's going to happen with it. And we are back with Sean's Fiat engine. We've made some very unsuccessful attempts by twisting on the crank and some bolts in the back to try and get this engine to roll over. But something's sticking, probably the rings. The cylinder walls have probably got some corrosion in them. So Sean's here, and Sean is going to tear the head off this engine in lightning quick time. Or at least rather quick time. There's the timing belt gone. So the cams don't really have a lot of wear on them, which is looking really good. Now we're going to get into the air tools. So what's interesting about this design is, as I was just mentioning with Sean, and he pointed out that the cam towers here basically bolt onto the head separately. So in a fashion, it's a multi-piece head. And we are working against the clock here. Both against ourselves is a pride thing, and the fact that Steph is on her way over to have dinner. So we're trying to get this thing half disassembled before she shows up. Because there's nothing worse than leaving a project half done, or half undone, whatever the case may be. So when we crack this open, we'll be seeing what we got for the first time. Rearmost cylinder, third,
rust like we thought,
second,
corrosion junk,
and first.
From sitting with no carburetor on and no hood.
Yeah, that's a shame, but we don't see any obvious damage. It'll be a matter of just seeing how badly things are at the machine shop. This one's pretty scaly.
Yeah, might get away with knocking the pistons out, putting a flex zone in and re-ringing it. Might need to get it bored out. Won't know till we try.
Yeah, there's lots of meat left in between the cylinders, so that's good. But there's definitely some...
And they make sleeve kits if absolutely necessary, but looks like stock pistons, so she shouldn't have been touched before.
So a quick update. Back cylinder is just as bad as we thought, but however the front cylinder, this has made Sean quite irritated because you can't see it quite with the lighting we have and the camera we have, but the cross hatching is still present in here. This engine was in really good shape, if not a very young engine or a rather fresh rebuild, and it was just left and parked without a carburetor and without a hood, and it's allowed water ingress to basically ruin an otherwise serviceable engine. And then taking a look at the cylinder head over here, this is the backmost one, and this one here, number 2, is open as well, and that's where water was allowed to get in. All this is repairable, but it's just unfortunate. It's just a waste of a good engine. All right, so that should answer some questions. Here's what's happened with the block. It sat open with a carburetor not on it. It got some water in the cylinders, and it has seized the rings, and it has pitted the bores. That means this engine needs a complete overhaul. That means machine work, new pistons, an overbore, and honestly, quite a bit of work. The cylinder head is in pretty rough shape too. That thing's going to be freshened up, cleaned up. It's all possible. Sean's just not really sure if he wants to commit the time and the effort to building up a Fiat engine, mainly because Fiat parts are way more expensive than a lot of parts. Now, some purists will argue that the Fiat parts are head and shoulders above and we should just go with that. But on the flip side, we kind of like to keep the Lotta in the Lotta. So what will the future of that engine hold? Well, it's kind of indeterminate. We've got 3 different vehicles that it could possibly fit in, but for now, it's just going to languish a little while longer on that engine stand. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Later.